Welcome to another edition of the Inside Track. Today my special guest is one of my favourite players and a fine guitar player from Los Angeles, Mike Miller. He brings into the studio Mike Shapiro on drums and Jerry Watts on bass, and I believe they've just arrived. Let's go and meet them.
Wow, look, as I live and breathe.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. Amazing to see you.
And you.
It's been a long time, hasn't
A
it?
very long time. Hello, camera people. Mr. Standring.
Jerry Watts.
What a pleasure.
How are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Chris.
Mike.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Lovely to see you.
You too.
Yeah.
Thanks for seeing
We
us.
with 17 guitars.
Yeah,
Fantastic. So Jerry,
Man, how are you, man?
bloody great to see you, man. I mean, we're neighbours, of course. We're still neighbours.
We are still there.
Mike, it's fantastic to see you here. I've been a fan for many, many years, and here you are at the Inside Track. Thank you so much for coming. Should we have a little glass of wine before we get into this?
Good plan.
I think we should. Lovely glass of Minor here. Cabernet Sauvignon. Not to be disappointed.
Well, Chris, I really appreciate the opportunity
Oh,
to
come
come
on
on your
now.
show, and it's a good thing you're doing.
It is a good thing. Cheers. Mike, what are you going to play first today?
The first song is called "City to City."
Born in Washington, D.C. Moved here in 1985. The group that I spend the most time with on the road is with Herb Alpert and Lonnie Hall. We've been doing that for going on 11 years now. And so we spend a fair amount of time on the road every year. We have a new record coming out this month, actually, that I co-produced with Herb, and we're excited about that.
Nice. How did you think the session went today?
Oh, it was great. It was great. The three of us haven't played together in a long, long time in any configuration, much less playing Mike's music. So it was a thrill.
You're from South Dakota.
I am from South Dakota,
And
small town.
why did you leave and come to California? What was your main impetus for coming to California? And when did you do that?
I came out to California in '75. I growing up in Dakota, it was a great place to prepare because I knew that if I was serious about playing music, I had to go to either New York or LA.
Yeah.
And that my heroes were out there, and they were going to be my competition.
Right.
And I had a lot of homework to do before I got there,
Yeah.
you know. So, and it was also very cold, and there wasn't a lot to do. So it was
Yeah.
easy to sit in the basement and just run this stuff, run scales, and run everything you could think of, and get some good books, and pose questions to yourself, and just get familiar with music.
And we
So
didn't
I
have the
did a-
distractions back then, did we?
No, and
we could do three things, it seemed like. We could
That's right.
practice music, we could watch TV or play on the road.
that's right. That's true.
Yeah.
So I just spent a lot of time, to reiterate, I knew that my heroes were out there, and that's who I'm going to
Yeah.
be. You have
Yeah.
to be ready. So I really did a lot of work back there, and then moved for a few years to Colorado. In the interim, my brother had been there and spent some time, and he had a few connections. So I went out to Colorado and played a lot. Lived in Boulder and played a lot with Bill Frisell.
Wow.
Bill and I were old friends from long ago.
Wow.
We played together a lot before he ever went to Berkeley and took over the world. And Robin Ford came out there, and I met Robin, and he gave me he was moving there and I was moving here, and he gave me some connections that, continue today out here.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to get out of South Dakota.
Right. Who did you listen to growing up?
Originally, Beatles and Hendrix. Later, I got very into listening to keyboard players. Keith
Really?
Jarrett,
Much
Oscar
later?
Peterson. Well, as I got more serious about music, I had a lot of favorite guitar players. I mean,
Who was that?
Benson,
Yeah.
George Benson, Pat Martino, John McLaughlin, of course, changed my life.
Did he?
Yeah, oh yeah, just
It's funny you should say that. I've been checking him out recently. Because he didn't change my life like Pat Martino did, for instance. But I'm checking him out now, and what he did back in the day was astounding, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it really drew me into a type of music. The music I was hearing, I kind of had a good idea what they were doing. I couldn't do it,
Yeah.
but I kind of had a good idea what they're doing. With John's playing, I had no idea what he was doing. Like Bitches Brew, that stuff, the Miles stuff, it was killing me, and I had no idea what they were doing, which was really a fascinating combination.
Yeah.
Because it just drew me in. It was like this mysterious, what on earth is this that they're doing?
Right.
Who
Who else were you listening to? Because I hear a little Holsworth in your playing.
Oh, I love Alan's playing.
Yeah.
I love his playing. It's like there's some people that I like their playing so much that I can't listen to them because I'll start trying to play that way, and that's suicide. So,
Right.
But I love Alan's playing. He's another guy that completely stopped me in my tracks when I first heard him.
How would you describe your guitar playing? Is that a personal question?
It's therapy. It's like, I love to do it. I love a lot of styles. I grew up playing a lot of different styles of music. My father was a trumpet player, and me and my brothers, we all played bass in his band as we came up, and we were playing when I look back at it, we were playing Dixieland, we were playing standards, we were playing some Joe Beam, we were playing some Bacharach tunes. So it was really a wide range of material. And then, so playing string bass, right? And I was playing string bass in school, playing and the local symphony, playing classical music, and then playing guitar with my friends. So there was a lot. I really like variety. I'm fascinated by what makes a style sound authentic.
Right. But do you call yourself a jazz player? Do you call yourself a fusion player? How would you describe
I
yourself?
guess I'm kind of a jazz player, but I really love to play songwriter type of things, which can be almost anything.
Yeah.
Like I really appreciate the power of a good country player, that the solo has to be one piece. You know, you can't be just like start an idea and then start it over again upside down. You know, it's got to be one. It's got to be like a presentation. You know, so it's a different type of focus.
What are you going to play next?
The Days of Wine and Roses.
And why not? Did it take you a long time to assimilate into the LA music scene? Or was there a specific break that you got?
In some ways, I never really saw the heart of it. I mean, the session scene, I never saw the real. I saw a
You
few
weren't part of that
glimpses. I got
thing.
a few glimpses of it.
Yeah.
But most of the people I worked with were more on the fringe.
Right.
Like, Gino Vanelli, I worked for, and he was from Canada, so
Yeah.
I worked with Gino for about 11 years, and but
Yeah,
it was
in
always
fact,
fringe, you know. It was always kind of fringe.
let's talk about
stuff
who
that
you
I
did.
worked with.
You have played. I mean, you've played with Chick Corea. I mean, that must have been a huge.
That
thing.
was a great kick in the back.
Yeah. Let me read a few. Bette Midler, Yellow Jackets, Gina Vanelli, Quincy Jones, George Duke, Brand X, Natalie Cole, Brian Wilson. I mean, they're pretty A-list superstars that you've got to work with.
I was very lucky to be able to work with all these people.
I first heard your name back in the late 80s from the Yellow Jackets record, the Mirage à Trois. You wrote that lovely tune called Elamar.
Yes, right.
And I thought that was a wonderful record. How did you get hooked up with the Yellow Jacket? Clearly, it was through Robin Ford from Colorado now, right?
Sort of. That actually came from Jimmy Haslip. Because when I came out to California, I was playing with a friend of mine, Mark Cranny, great drummer,
Yeah.
also from South Dakota. We used to play in like high school bands together.
Right. I know that name.
And we played a lot there, and then we ended up in California, and he knew Jimmy Haslip. So Jimmy and Mark and I used to get together and play a lot. And then eventually, after Robin left the group, they were not sure if they're going to continue with the guitar and pulled me in for that record.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
What was that experience like for you, that record?
It was great. I mean, Russell is just so strong. You know, his writing is great, and I was honored that they let me get a tune on the record. They had a lot of momentum, as you know. I mean, they were like,
Oh, yeah.
they were just kind of getting started. That was their.
I remember actually being here in 1980. I was a kid. I wasn't even allowed to be in the Baked Potato yet. And I saw a show with the Yellow Jackets with Robin Ford and Ricky on drums.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. It was just...
Yeah.
That was pre The Hornet, that fantastic show.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, Robin and Russell grew up together in Northern Cal, too. So they have a lot of history,
Right.
and there's a connection there that I think can only come out of like really when you play with someone for a long time.
Yeah. Talk about the Chick Corea experience. You must have... Frank was doing that on guitar for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Did you-
I kept running into Chick for years, from back when I lived in Colorado.
Yeah.
I'd first gotten there, and I had no money, and I got into this club, Tulagi's or something, and Chick was there with the first band with Bill Connors for a week
Well,
for $5
Yeah,
a night, and I was
nice.
there every night and hung out with Bill, and they came up to the house in the mountains and played, and I met Stanley and Chick then. And then later in the late 70s, I was playing with a guy named Al Vizzuti, trumpet player, who's now up in Seattle. And he had been working with Chick and met Chick again through Alan's thing because he'd come to play on Alan's records. And I kept kind of bumping into him. And also Tom Brechtline, who was one of my dear friends.
Sure.
And he was with Chick then, and we just kept, bumping into him. And I auditioned for the first band, and Frank got it, obviously, and coming in second on that job will get you like a cup of coffee if you have a nickel. But it was a great experience. I mean, and it just kept coming around, and finally he was putting together this other group, and I went and auditioned, and the audition was like 10 hours long.
oh my God.
And he'd given me all this music to prepare, and we didn't do any of that music. It was all like, oh, here's another four-pager.
Yeah.
But it was great. It
Yeah.
was like he was such a big influence on me, and early on especially. And it was just terrifying to be up on stage and you're trading fours with that guy, and he's got that look on his face.
But you
and he's
held your
walking
own
over.
quite well, Mike.
Well, I
I've got
loved
to-
doing it. It was
Yeah.
it was it's great to be there.
What's the next song?
John Lennon's beautiful ballad, Julia.
last few years musically, recording. So still recording. So recently I played on a bunch of different records for Stephen. Very interested. Let's see, Stephen Bishop and yeah. Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Oh, you must have worked for John Gallucci.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And there's like a kind of an ambient new age record I did by a woman named Say, S-E-A-Y, and both of those are Grammy. They're pushing to get some Grammys on them. And I've been in John Diversa progressive big band and small group for the past actually 10 years.
So tell me, what do you think it takes for a leader to call somebody brand new? Let's say you have moved into town and you get a little bit of a reputation. Why does a leader call somebody new?
Good question. I think, you have to be ready to open your head up to something out of the ordinary. Because if you want to stick with the ordinary, you have that list of guys already. So you have to be looking for some sort of new information.
So it's a bit counterintuitive in a way, because most guys want to play like the successful guys so they get the call.
Right.
And you're saying that's not the way to do it.
Well, I think that probably is a way to do it.
Yeah.
But for me, it never worked because, it's like the line of people, like for me, the line of people who want to do the funk thing, that's a huge line.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't really, I would rather do something else, because I've done it. I also did that a lot. I did it for a long, long time. And at some point you kind of decide, am I going to do this what am I going to do to keep my interest? Because I think keeping enthusiasm about what you're doing can be really hard after a while.
Yeah.
It can be like, you can't buy enthusiasm. So I just, I go between, as a good friend of mine, Peter Robinson says, there's work, there's commerce, and there's art.
Yeah.
They're both good. Don't mix them up.
Yeah.
But they're both good.
Yeah.
So I love playing, all kinds of music with people. And then when I get a chance to do my own thing, it's like, well, then let's do something else.
I've always thought that talent is really just possessing a fascination. I don't know about you, but I'm not totally, I don't buy into this, that guy's so talented, I just think, I think there are obviously more gifted people than others, but as a general rule, I think it's about how much of a sponge do you want to be.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
It's about it goes along with what I said about enthusiasm. Like if you can keep your enthusiasm up about it, then it'll get very interesting to you. Because if you really start working on this stuff, it starts talking to you, as you know.
That's
You'll
right.
be playing something and suddenly you'll get a new idea of something you never thought of that you could do with the same information.
Yeah.
And that just goes exponentially out.
And then all of a sudden this little guy taps you on the shoulder and says, you got to work on this, mate.
Yeah.
You got to work on this
Right.
because it ain't happening.
Right. Or you
Yeah.
get top heavy, You
Yeah.
get like we've got all this, mechanics together, but your time is bad.
Yeah.
Well, give me a guy with good time and limited chops any day.
Yeah.
Any day, because there's nothing worse than trying to play with. It's like with bad time.
That's
it's like
right.
dragging a
Oh,
body
yeah,
up
yeah,
a hill.
yeah. Are you inspired as ever since the music business crash?
It's such a different world. It's
Yeah.
such a do-it-yourself world.
Yeah.
And it's odd because I never really made much money selling my own music anyway. So it's almost like that's kind of removed from me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really concerned with trying to get it on the
Right.
radio because that never worked for me anyway.
Right.
I always did my work other places, I do some film work. I've been working with this guy, Boss Skaggs, which I love.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of touring with
Right.
various pop artists or jazz artists or funk people, or I worked with Natalie Cole for years, and I love the idea of what can I bring to this song.
Yeah.
Like like what is it? What is the style? What's it about? What can I play that's going to make it even more what it is? Where that's become kind of the focus of what's interesting to me.
Right.
But yeah, the demise of the tower's gone, man. It's like it's so sad.
It's going to a different place.
It hasn't landed
yeah.
yet, so it's hard to tell
Yeah.
where it's going to land.
What projects have you got coming out, Mike?
Well, I've got a batch of tunes that I need to record. So when I get this break, I'm gonna
Good.
kick myself
There you go.
and finish this stuff and you know, put it out so the kids can give it away for free.
That's it. That's it. Well, I'll drink to that, Mike. It's been
good,
great
good.
having you here.
Thank you so much for
Fantastic.
having me, Chris.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, that wraps up another edition of The Inside Track. Thanks to you guys. Big thanks to Mike Miller, Mike Shapiro, Jerry Watts, Minor Vineyards, and we'll see you again right here on The Inside Track. Thanks.
Let's go.
Like the cannibalized pedal board du jour.
Right.
It's like whatever's still at the house.